Hi, my name is Jan. I just made 57 pillows, and I decided that since I learned so much from watching YouTube videos, that I would share with you the things that I learned. So I have a cutting board and a rotary cutter that I use. I also make a template. This is a 24-inch pillow, and I like to cut it at 23 and sew it at 22, which makes for a very nice fluffy pillow. First thing I do is lay my fabric out. You want it to be on the grain as much as possible. And then when you're ready, you just use your rotary cutter. Or you measure 23 inches from the edge on both sides of the fabric. And then you just cut with your scissors on the fold that you've created. Start. Okay. This is the other side. You can see my rotary knife. I just changed it so that it's fresh, and it's getting harder and harder to cut the fabric, but that's normal. There, I got it through. The other thing I like to do if I'm using scissors, if it's a particularly thick fabric, is to cut on the fold. So you fold the fabric where you want the cut, and you take your nice big scissors and you cut on the fold. With curtains, you have to be exactly on the grain. And with pillows, it's better if you're on the grain, but because it's a soft furnishing, it doesn't matter as much. You got a little more leeway because you're going to stuff it. Now, some manufacturers of the inserts for a 24-inch pillow, they'll give you a 26-inch insert. So you need to know, you need to order your inserts, purchase your inserts, and measure them so you know what you're dealing with. You want the outside to be a little bit smaller than your insert so you got some fluff. This is what the fabric looked like when it's been cut. This is velvet, so it has a grain. So you're going to want to be careful when you sew it that you don't have one side going up and one side going down. Once your fabric's cut, I take a serger and I edge each piece. If you don't have a serger, you can do a zigzag stitch all the way around. Try to get it to the edge so you don't have these pieces coming away as you're sewing. So this serge machine did not cost very much, a few $100s. It was hard to thread it, but once it was threaded, it's just been excellent. I did all 57 pillows with this serge machine. So what you do is you have a chain here, and you feed your fabric in, and now it's serging. It cuts off a little bit. Out like that, and you snip it. I actually go all the way around, but I'm sure you don't want to spend a whole video watching me serge. There's a blade on a serge machine, and it can cut off quite a bit of fabric, but I don't cut off just the very rough edges. When you get to the corner, you go all the way off, then swing your fabric around.
Maybe do my second one.
I have two pieces that are properly edged, either serging or zigzag stitch, and we're going to put in a zipper. Okay, so I called it grain earlier, but in reality I meant to say nap. This velvet feels smooth this way and rough this way. So when you're putting your pieces together, you want to have them both going in the same direction. This feels rough, so I'm going to flip it. So we're both going in the same direction. This is smooth, this is smooth. Now what you do next is you have to put the right sides together. All right, now the invisible zipper. It's not hard once you get it. You take your invisible zipper and you open it, and it's face down. See the clip here in my hand? Face down. And then you pin it to the right side of the first piece of fabric. Okay, so we pin it to the right sides, and it doesn't matter if it goes off the end, because when we sew it up, we'll sew it up so that it doesn't open all the way. Then take your extra your top piece and fold it in such a way that you remember how you had it, because you're going to have to come back and fold it back down. Then you take your zipper over to your sewing machine and put your zipper foot in. I have my zipper foot on my machine. I actually had an old Singer that I really loved, but they couldn't give me a modern invisible zipper foot for it. I bought about 5. None of them fit. So I had to go out and buy a new machine, and I had paid $35 for the invisible zipper foot, and it makes a big difference. Okay, we're gonna put the zipper foot down, put our thread down, take our pin out, open the teeth as far to the left as you can, and begin to sew. And the zipper foot catches those teeth. You just gotta make sure it's in the right place.
I'd say that the teeth are just to the left of that little guide.
Just going into that guide and being caught. Now some fabrics will kind of bunch up, and then you'll need to make sure they don't. This fabric's heavy enough that it doesn't bunch. Make sure your line's on the edge. Make sure your teeth are open. This is the finicky part. But it's either this or you're going to hand sew your opening shut, and you're never going to want to take it apart to clean it. And you get it as far down as you can, backspace, and you're done in that section. It's really important that you clip all your threads, because threads, so you got to go back up to the top and clip those threads too, because threads will damage. Errant threads on the inside of the zipper will damage the zipper, and you'll have to replace it. So clip all your threads. Okay, so I've sewn on the first half of the invisible zipper. This is a little bit long for this piece of fabric, but that's okay, because when we actually come to sew the pillow up, we will sew right here and just cut this off. So now I'm going to check and make sure that my sewing is going to make this zipper invisible. And it looks good. So we unzip it again, keeping in mind that you want to keep this unzipped through most of your work, so that when you sew those seams up, you've got it unzipped. Then we're going back to this other piece of fabric that we have set into position so that it's the right side down. And then we're going to pin this zipper to this second piece. Pin the zipper onto the right side of the second piece. That's why the right sides are together. You're going to go on the right side of the second piece, and you're going to pin it so that these edges are correct. So this pin is very important, and I have dropped it. So let me get another one like this. And you pin this. And the other piece is going to come on just fine. So now that it's pinned, we're going to go back to the machine with the zipper foot and sew this in. So this is a hard part, so I'm going to make sure you see what I'm doing. I've pinned it, and now I'm getting the zipper under the zipper foot and pulled back as far as I can get it. Push it down, get the needle in place, and begin. I gotta get over, as you can see. All right, keeping this edge even, keeping the teeth down. And getting the zipper in. So really the key to this method of putting an invisible zipper in is putting the right sides together at the beginning. Having the zipper face down. And then checking as you go. I'm putting the second side in now. And there's a moment coming up where if I twist the fabric, you're going to think you did it all wrong. In fact, I think 3 pillows that I recently did, I thought I had to rip it out. But I went back to a YouTube video. All right, again, clipping threads. You don't want any loose threads around your zipper. But it's at this point, if you get distracted or the fabric is pretty flimsy, you have to make sure that the 2 pieces are together so you can zip it up. You have to check and make sure that is the way it is so that it'll zip up. So I'm going to pull it all the way, and then we're going to look and see how invisible that zipper is. When you stuff it, you're going to see a little tiny bit of zipper, but normally if it's stuffed properly, you won't see any zipper at all. All right, we've checked that the zipper is in fact properly put in, and now we're going to sew up the sides. Here is the pillow maker's mistake. Because you've just checked the zipper, it's been closed. If you do not open, and the number of people on YouTube that forgot to open the zipper, and now you're going to put the right sides together again, and you're going to sew it up. But if you don't open up that zipper, you're going to sew it up, and you're not going to be able to turn it out. It's the pillow maker's mistake. They forget to unzip it before they sew the edges. But that's what we're going to do right now, is sew the edges. Okay, now we're going to sew it up. We've not made the mistake of having the zipper closed. But if this zipper was 3 or 4 inches down from the edge, which oftentimes it is, you have to sew a seam along here. But because our zipper is slightly too big, which is nice, all we have to do is sew our seam, because you can see the edge of the zipper is about the same as our seam. So now this is an easy, fun part. You make sure your pieces match. You do a back stitch, and you sew up your zipper. You sew up your pillow. When you get to the corner, I like to do a little bit of back stitch, because I'm going to ask a lot of these corners. A little bit farther. Okay, this fabric's sewed up like a dream. Sometimes you get fabrics coming over, the top piece is bigger on the, sometimes you just have to really work it. This fabric is not hard. You've got a nice edge. You do a bunch of back stitching here because the zipper is going to be opening right to that seam. Then again, you're clipping, and now you're also clipping your zipper. Go around this side, check. Yep, there's things to be clipped. Again, when you're dealing with zippers, you don't want any excess thread. Okay, now here's where you can see if you hadn't opened that zipper ahead of time, you'd be in trouble. So now it comes time. People like to clip the corners, but I don't. I don't like to clip the corners because when I get to my corner, I want it to be sharp and I need as much fabric as I can get to make sure it is sharp. So you really take care to get that open. You know, there's a little dent in there. That's not good. You gotta really, this is your opportunity to get these corners completely square and open. We'll go to the other one. Get it completely open. Sometimes it's really easy, and sometimes it's hard. You got a little extra fabric in there by not clipping the corners to help it stand up. And down here, you got your zipper. Down here, you've got your zipper like that. So it's much easier to, if you look down here, try to keep my hand out of the way. You just tuck the end of your, like that. You got a nice smooth corner. And all that's left is to stuff it. Okay, the easy part, you take your insert, you fold it in half to make it easier to get in, and then you get it into the cover. And the trick here is to reach out and grab the corner of the pillow and make sure it fits into the corner of the cover. And in the future, if you're fluffing pillows, that's what you should do also. Make sure these corners on both sides are well stuffed, and then it's a simple matter of doing the zipper up, which, since we did such a good job putting the zipper in, it's going to be easy. It's going to disappear. I'm going to make sure this, and then because this zipper didn't have a seam, locking it in, you need to tuck it in. But it's not hard to do. You get it all tucked in. You have your pillow. I hope you enjoyed this pillow making video. Pillows are wonderful.